You see her on the television, you see her in magazines, you see her in movies. You have even seen her in the frozen food aisle. It's Oprah. But how did she become such a household name? How did she become a successful leader?
To understand how Oprah became so successful, we must first understand her upbringing. On January 29th, 1954, Oprah Winfrey was born into extreme poverty. She grew up on a farm in Mississippi with her grandmother. They had no running water or electricity. She even wore potato burlap sacks as clothing. Her grandmother whipped her regularly for discipline. When she was 6 years old, she was sent to live with her mother in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where the housekeeper forced her to sleep on the porch. At age 9, her cousin raped her. For 5 years, she silently endured multiple instances of rape and abuse from other family members and friends. After learning she was pregnant at 14, she was sent to live with her father in Nashville, Tennessee, under strict supervision. Soon after birth, her baby passed away. In Oprah's Life Class series, she recounted this being her second chance.
And after I gave birth at 14 years old to a child that I never even knew how this even happened to me at the time, when that child died, my father said to me, "This is your second chance. This is your opportunity to seize this moment and make something of your life." And I took that chance and understood for myself, even though I didn't have the words to articulate it, that now I know better, so I can do better.
This is arguably Oprah's defining moment that changed her life. Even though she had a difficult childhood, this loss of hers was really what opened the door to the rest of her life. From this point on, things started to look up. Oprah Winfrey attended college and studied broadcasting on scholarship at Tennessee State University. After graduation, she was hired as a news anchor, but this made her feel uncomfortable and inauthentic. She struggled to strictly report. Instead, she would empathize with people who had been through tragedies or disasters. Because she could not strictly report their stories, she would relate too much to the people she talked to. Her bosses would actually write her up because of empathizing, and she was ultimately demoted. Once demoted, she hosted a talk show called People Are Talking on WJZ-TV in Baltimore, Maryland. Here, she encountered gender bias and unequal pay. In an interview with Time magazine, she recounted the experience. She explained the encounter with her boss. I said, "Richard makes more money than I, and we're doing the same job, and so I feel like I should get a raise." And my boss said, "Why?" And I said, "Again, sir, we're sitting in chairs opposite each other. We're doing the same job. I ask as many questions as he does. Then I do the news, and he does the news." And my boss said, "But he has children. He has 3 sons. Do you have kids?" And I said, "No, I don't have kids." He said, "And he owns his own home. Do you own your own house?" She again replies, well, no. "Well, I'm going to be buying a house." Her boss counters, "But do you own your own house?" He says, "And so, tell me again why you need more money?" I said, "Thank you very much." And that is when Oprah vowed that she was going to be leaving Baltimore. She realized, okay, I'm not going to win. Who am I going to protest to? This is the general manager.
She vowed she would leave Baltimore, and she did just that. She then moved to a radio talk show, AM Chicago, which eventually became the famous Oprah Winfrey Show. Oprah managed to make this show her own and built it around herself and her own producers. She was working with a bunch of women and chose to focus her show on what was going on in their lives. This show was renamed The Oprah Winfrey Show, and it was syndicated in 1986. But she encountered the same gender bias she did in Baltimore, except this time there was a different outcome because she took a different course of action. In the same Times interview, she continued to recount her experience. "I was making a lot of money and my producers were still getting the same salary. I went to my boss and said, 'Everybody needs a raise.' He said, 'Why?' I said, 'Because we're now a national show and I'm making money.' And he actually said to me, they're only girls. They're a bunch of girls. What do they need money for? So when it happened again, 7 years later in Chicago, I go, well, either my producers are going to get raises or I'm going to sit down. I just won't work. I will not work unless they get paid more money. And so they did. And while I was waiting for the bosses to pay them, I paid them myself in the interim. Oprah's willingness to stand for what is right helped herself and the people working for her prosper and gain respect. Chose this focus to let people know that they are not alone. No matter where they were in life, they are not alone. Through sharing experiences with others, she realized that no one is alone, and there are at least 1,000 or more people who have experienced the same feelings. She used her show to connect with others. Renamed The Oprah Winfrey Show, it grossed $125 million in its first year of syndication. Mrs. Winfrey took $30 million and through her Harpo company won control of the show. She also owns the Oprah magazine, and holds stakes in her other media companies, including Viacom. The Oprah Winfrey Show ended in 2011 and after 25 seasons with over 48 million weekly viewers.
This was just the beginning of Oprah's media empire and other professional successes. In addition to her own talk show, she has produced, directed, and starred in movies such as The Color Purple, Selma, and The Butler. She started book clubs and published her monthly the Oprah magazine. She has founded charitable foundations and a television network, OWN. Ms. Winfrey is the first and only female African-American billionaire. Her net worth is $3.9 billion. But all of the success has not come without challenges. In the fall of 1998, Winfrey starred in the film adaptation of Toni Morris's winning novel, Beloved. It tanked at the box office. Despite the spectacular popularity of her talk show, at the same time, Winfrey said that the movie's failure triggered her long plunge into food and depression. Winfrey languished in that low point for 6 weeks, at times buying up blocks of Beloved tickets at local movie theaters in an attempt to pad the film's box office figures. But she eventually recovered from the disappointment. She is also a philanthropist. In 2008, Oprah built and started the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls, which serves 275 young women from grades 8 to 12 in South Africa. While Oprah strategically planned out each detail for a safe learning experience, there were allegations of sexual assault.
They didn't use the word sexual abuse. They implied that something inappropriate was going on. Hearing that, John Samuel, immediately after hearing that allegation, removed the accused, Tiny Makopo, from the campus. I was, needless to say, devastated and really shaken to my core when I first heard this news.
She continued to detail the immediate and necessary actions taken to provide trauma counseling to the girls involved and replaced all dorm matrons. Her willingness to help these girls to provide them a safe environment is admirable, and she seems sincere in her efforts to handle the situation quickly and effectively. This is key to being successful in any endeavor.
The Oprah Leadership Academy for Girls is not her only act of philanthropy. After Hurricane Katrina, Oprah committed $10 million of her own money to build homes and help rebuild lives. In addition, she has founded many charities. For one, the Oprah Winfrey Operating Foundation. This foundation is used exclusively for donating to the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls. The Oprah Winfrey Foundation is an exclusive endowment fund that Ms. Winfrey uses to donate millions of dollars in grants to nonprofit organizations. Next, the Angel Network, which is a donation foundation focused on getting people involved, with every penny of each donation directly funding the project. But Ms. Winfrey pays for overhead and operating costs herself. She has a specific foundation for separate causes and magnifies her contributions by encouraging her followers to make a difference. Her willingness to spread wealth and share her success are part of why her followers are so attracted to her. The lasting impact of her charitable contributions are her legacy. This proves she is passionate about helping people and uses the Oprah effect to benefit others. Even her ventures into the food world have been charitable. Her new partnership with Kraft Heinz for refrigerated meals will donate 10% of profits to charities that seek to eradicate hunger. The product line, named O, That's Good Certainly, fits the cause. Before this line of meals, Oprah teamed up with Starbucks to create Teavana Oprah Chai in 2014. In 2015, she took a 10% stake in Weight Watchers. The Oprah effect was so strong that within 2 days of announcing the stake, WW shares surged 170%, creating $700 million in value. This is only one example of how much influence Oprah has over her followers. In 1996, she discussed mad cow disease on her show. After being disgusted with food production practices, she told her 20 million viewers that she would never eat another hamburger. This resulted in a drastic drop in beef sales and a defamation lawsuit filed by the Texas Cattlemen and Texas Beef Group due to the millions in dollars they lost.
Oprah has had many successful side ventures, but it's her on-air presence and desire to help people that ultimately led her to create the Oprah Winfrey Network after the Oprah Winfrey Show finished its last season in 2011. Now she is the CEO and chairman of OWN TV Network, which is a joint partnership with Discovery Communications. At the time, she was still based in Chicago, which also contributed to a lack of day-to-day engagement in molding the network that bore her name. Early OWN ratings were disappointing, with just an average of 262,000 viewers tuning in during 2011. It turned out even the Winfrey faithful did not want quite that much preachy self-help. In Oprah's words, "My mistake was I thought I could do that every day in 24/7 programming. I thought I was going to have people meditating in the morning, yoga classes midday, Eckhart Tolle in the afternoon. I had a vision of what living your best life could look like. The people told me otherwise. I had to redo my vision." Being in this position of power, she understands how her team affects her work and how to use this in her favor. Winfrey has structured OWN so it can run without her constant oversight, leaving plenty of time to pursue additional projects that she's passionate about. To make that work, she has installed a pair of trusted longtime employees as co-presidents. Eric Logan, who joined Harpo as an executive vice president in 2008, and Sherry Salata, who started as a marketer at Harpo in 1995 and rose to executive producer of the Oprah Winfrey Show in 2006, which she oversaw until the end of its run. The trio refer to themselves as a three-legged stool that supports OWN's organization of about 200 employees, with Logan mostly handling business and operations, Salata primarily steering creative, and Winfrey, of course, as the brand. "I try to surround myself with people who really know what they're doing and give them the freedom to do it," Winfrey says. "What really mattered to me about creating a network was having a platform where I could connect ideas that let people see the best of themselves through the lives of other people." Since she is a media mogul, the majority of Oprah's personal life has been made public. Her relationship is the only thing kept somewhat private. She has discussed her past on her talk show and other broadcasted series like Life Class and Super Soul Sunday on OWN. Despite her success, Miss Winfrey has decided not to marry, although she has a long-term partner. This is unusual for someone of her generation, and her reason why is inspiring. In CNN interview with Piers Morgan, she commented on this topic of marriage.
"I am pretty assured that had I married, I wouldn't have remained married, because it takes a very different kind of person to put up with all of this. And the reason why this relationship has worked as well as it has is because we each got to define ourselves in it and not in a traditional form. There's nothing about it that's traditional. There's nothing about it that's traditional. People who want that for themselves, that's what they should have. But I want to make you a meal when I want to make you a meal. I don't want it to be my responsibility to make you a meal.
Oprah became a leader by overcoming challenges throughout her life. She faced sexual abuse, racial and gender bias, poverty, and the loss of a child. She learned from these struggles and sought to help others do the same. She shared personal stories with her talk show audience and chose to use it as a platform to offer hope to people around the world. Her followers see themselves in her because they can relate to her past struggles. Oprah Winfrey is an inspiring, transformational, and servant leader with charisma and effective communication skills.